everyone. My name is Sarah Wolf, and I'm one of the moderators here this evening. This is also my colleague, Craig.
Hello, everybody.
We're just here to keep the conversation flowing. Really what we're going to be doing tonight is bringing the survey that the library put forth to the community to life and allow for some community comments so that folks can share some of their thoughts about the future of the Coventry P.E.A.C.E. building. Let's see here. So this is a little bit about Gloria. Gloria, you want to say hello to people?
Yeah, hey everybody, my name is Gloria Craig, as you can see, and hopefully you received the slide that kind of gives you the insight of who I am if you really have some deep questions about it. But I am currently a civic engagement strategist at Cleveland Votes, but outside of that, I've done a few different facilitation workshops and trainings. Sarah and I met at P.E.A.C.E, and since we've met, we've pretty much just accidentally facilitated a lot of conversations. We've done the leadership session at Future Heights. I'm sure some of you are aware of that or familiar with that. And so I am, as Sarah said, just here to kind of help move the conversation through and make sure everybody is being heard and make sure people have the opportunity to share where they're coming from. You'll hear a little bit later that we proposed that for folks who are interested, that there be a workshop of sorts for folks to kind of come together and plan through whatever the 4 solutions are, to put together a plan to provide to the board. And so you'll hear more about that. But it's very good to meet you. If you have questions for me, you can catch me at the end, and I will be happy to answer the questions.
All right, thank you, Gloria. And then I think a lot of you know me. I work at Future Heights. I'm the community building programs manager there. Also ran small businesses for 20 plus years in my previous life, I like to say. Used to run a yoga studio, so if anybody just needs to feel some grounding and calming, let me know and I can provide some exercises for that as well. I'm just happy to be here tonight with you all. Also, just in full transparency, I will say that Future Heights is one of the tenants in the Coventry P.E.A.C.E. building. So just so you know that is also a point of view that I'm coming from as well, though I'm just really here to moderate the discussion, not to necessarily share my own point of view. This is about all of you. You all took the time to be here tonight, so hopefully we'll get to hear from as many of you as possible. All right.
Yeah, so you should have received this, correct? They received these or not?
It was part of like, some people have seen them and some maybe have not.
I emailed
cool.
it
So
to everyone who registered.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I am going to read them word for word because there's some really specific things in here. First, we're gathered here today. Like somebody about to get married, right? That's right. Okay, so we're gathered here today to help build off of the survey data that is currently still being collected. The deadline for that is July 20. You cannot hear me? Is that what you can't hear me? Oh, because I'm not talking in the mic. I didn't think I needed it. Sorry.
Mic's not on.
Oh,
Yeah, the audio is low.
yeah, it is.
Okay. Y'all can hear me now, yes? Okay, good. Sorry. All right, so we're gathered here today to help build off of the survey data that is currently being collected. The deadline to collect or to respond to that survey is July 28th. So if you have not taken the survey and you want to make sure your point of view for the questions in the survey is collected, please do that by July 28th. So this is to make community-informed recommendations to the board of the directors of the Coventry P.E.A.C.E. building. So all parties recognize the significant community contributions of both Heights libraries and all of the nonprofits currently housed in the Coventry P.E.A.C.E. building. Tonight is not about the work of the organizations, but about the future of the building known as Coventry P.E.A.C.E. Meeting attendees' comments will be limited to 1 person per topic with a time limit of 2 minutes. I know you're probably like, that's ridiculous. I can't say what I need to say in 2 minutes, but we really want to make space for as many people to say what they need to say, or at least provide some type of their perspective. So that is why we have a time limit. It's not because we don't want to hear from you. There are 4 topics, meaning approximately 8 comments per question posed to the group. Step back and step up and step back. What does that mean? So if you've already said something for the first group and you have something else to say, we want to try to give people an opportunity to speak who have not spoken. Some people are really ready to just get up and say what they need to say, and they have multiple things to say, and we respect that, but we also have to acknowledge that some people are not going to feel super comfortable popping up immediately. So we want to give space for people who might take a little time to decide, like, do I want to get up? Do I want to say something? This needs to be as safe as possible, as safe as we can make it. So step up, step back. Let's see. There will not be a question and answer today. However, you did receive those index cards when you came in, and you received a pen. Write down any questions that you may have. They will be collected, and we will be giving them to the library so that they can put them in a notes document and put them together, so you all will be able to see that. This is meant for us to come, listen, and learn. We want to hear from the residents. We want to hear what people have to say. So that's why we said it's not a question and answer, so that there's not a lot of back and forth, right? But as I said before, if you have questions, write them down. If you have comments that you don't get to say, write them down, so that we can give them back to the library, so that they can put it in some notes, and we can make sure that you see what you've written down, you see other people's questions, and we make sure that the board gets everything that you said. Civility rules, listen to understand. That could be hard for some and easy for others, but do your best, please. No final decisions or determinations will be made today. This is simply to a grounding space, to help people be on the same page and to hear what residents have to say. The moderators, me and Sarah, we're moderating. We are responsible for notifying you when your time is up at the mic. If any of the ground rules are deemed in violation, we will communicate that with you. We're just really here to keep the dialogue flowing and the evening flowing. We've mentioned that multiple times. Please be aware that tonight is being recorded. Also, from what I understand, Channel 5 will be here as well. So just so you all can, he walked in right on time. So Channel 5 is here. So that's the gist of what we got going on. How we feel about that? Everybody heard me, everybody understand. Yes, no, maybe. I like voices and verbal. Great, good stuff. Thank you very much. And we're going to pass it to Cheryl.
All right. Agenda real quick here. So we've already had our welcome. I'm going to give a brief history of the building and its relationship with the library, and then I'm going to go over the Peace Building survey results as of 10 a.m. this morning. Again, it is still open until Sunday the 28th. And then we're going to have our public comments, and then next steps, and then we'll be done. So I am here to give a brief history of the building. Move this a little. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Okay, great. I don't usually need a microphone, so tell me if I'm too loud. So May 2017, the Board of Education, the landlord of that building since 2006, announced plans to sell the Peace Campus property. That means the building, the park, the parking lot. And the tenants at that point were facing a month-to-month lease as of July 2017. The tenants' advocacy and public campaigning led to the Heights Library's Board of Trustees vote to, purchase the building from the Cleveland Heights University Heights School District. One clarification, we did buy it for one symbolic dollar. Governing agencies in the Ohio Revised Code can transfer real estate to one another. So the Peace building and the Peace property was transferred to the library from the Board of Education. It wasn't really a purchase for a dollar. But that allowed the tenants to stay, and the library retained the parking lot and the public park. And that whole area, the original deed, is public use for that whole area. In July 2018, the tenants signed a 2-year lease with the Heights Libraries. That agreement included giving the tenants 2 years to create a single governing entity and create a financially feasible structure for taking over management of the building, including payment of all operating costs. Okay, it's only 2 slides. So from approximately July to October of 2020, the leases with individual tenants expired. the library negotiated a new one-year lease with the governing body, the Coventry P.E.A.C.E. campus, CPC, and that included a 9-year renewal if the CPC could create a sustainable financial plan that would cover the building costs and repairs, and second, could manage the building. In December 2021 through approximately May 2022, the Heights Libraries Board voted not to extend the 9-year lease to CPC, and they hired a new building manager, Playhouse Square Management. The library also commissioned an economic feasibility study of the building to inform new leases, and that study was done by the nonprofit real estate company IFF. And that is available if anyone wants to see that. From June 22nd through June of 2022, through January of 2023, Playhouse Square Management negotiated new leases with the tenants, and those were signed January 2023. And then May of 2024, the tenants missed the deadline to renew, and the library board voted to extend the leases for 6 months. And they also charged the library staff to solicit public feedback on the future of the building. So that's where we are now. So the survey results, and this is the current financial needs of the building. Just real brief, it is about $2.8 million, and this study was done in March 2024 by Playhouse Square Management, and this is also available on our website if anyone wants to look at the full report. So the survey results, the survey went live on Monday, July 8th at about 10 a.m., and it closes Sunday, July 28th. It was shared by eBlast, website link on our homepage, public computers in all of our buildings. Anyone who sits down to use a public computer, it pops up. Social media, displays in library buildings with printouts, so that will also be included. What is your age? We just did some demographics. Are you aware that Heights Libraries owns the former Coventry Elementary School building? So surprisingly, about 10% of people did not know that we owned it. Most people do. During the last 12 months, how many times have you visited the Coventry P.E.A.C.E. building? This was to kind of get an idea of how many people are using the building. The majority had not. During the last 12 months, how many times have you visited the playground or community spaces surrounding the P.E.A.C.E. building? There was a lot more variety there. More than 3 times was it's about neck and neck with 0. Are you aware of improvements that the library has made in the community? Again, this is focusing on our taxpayers, so that's why we have this question in there. Most people are fairly aware, including people did know that we had taken on the P.E.A.C.E. building. If you visited any of the Heights Libraries branches, again, this is just demographics, it is giving us an idea, though, too, of how many people attend and use the Coventry Library. So this is where there were a lot of write-in responses. So we actually printed out every single write-in response and we categorized them as best we could. So right now, this is, do you think Heights Library should pay for capital expenses for the Coventry P.E.A.C.E. building by any of the following? And we asked people to choose. So the ones that are not in shaded areas here, these were all write-in responses. So as you can see, the most popular option for those city council members who are here is ask the cities for money. Surprise. Don't make capital improvements was the second most popular option, but then we did get a lot of responses for fundraising, selling or closing the building, selling or giving to the tenants, charging tenants more rent, and then modest cutback of library services and increase in property taxes were some of the least popular options. And again, we'll have this full. And this doesn't add up to 1,000. We didn't include every single written response because some people, there was only one who said, make it a dog park. So we didn't include that. I love dogs too. Okay. Question 11, the library will not sell the building to a developer for private housing because existing deed restrictions provide only for educational and public use, and this will be honored. With that in mind, which of the following actions would you recommend to the library? Again, the non-shaded responses were the most popular write-in answers. So find an alternate nonprofit, public, or educational use. What this meant was another organization taking it on. Demolishing and expanding the cart was the second most popular option, and then with the write-ins, library make improvements and have the tenants stay, that was our third most popular. Seller give to tenants was fourth, and so on. And again, we're going to have all of this published on Monday. And then if the building were demolished, what do you think the library should do with the property? Again, non-shaded responses were the most popular write-in answers. Enlarge the open area with lawn or meadow. Enlarge the mini urban forest, those were the two most popular. And don't demolish the building was the third most popular option. Enlarging the playground, outdoor pavilion, and there's the dog park right down there. That's got 10 fans. Yeah. So that's pretty much, we're going to post the survey results on Monday for all to see, and then the survey closes on Sunday, July 28th. So thank you so much for your time, and I'll hand it back.
All right, so we are going to get into the reason why everybody came, the public comment piece. So I think it probably makes the most sense for folks to line up on this side here. And you'll come up to this mic right here in front of us. If you have mobility issues or are unable to move, we can have Cheryl bring the mic to you. Just raise your hand, okay? Can everybody hear me? Okay. Okay, good. All right, so we'll start with the first question. Remember, there are four main questions that we're answering. So if there's one in particular that you're waiting on, I'll make sure I say question 1, question 2 before we transition, okay? All right, so question number 1. Do you think Heights Library's funds are well spent on Coventry P.E.A.C.E building upkeep and maintenance, or do you prefer Heights Library funds be utilized supporting/expanding their own programming and services? Do you think Heights Library's funds are well spent on Coventry P.E.A.C.E building upkeep and maintenance, or do you prefer Heights Library funds be utilized supporting/expanding their own programming services? Please watch Sarah for your time over here. It'll let you know, and please go ahead. Oh, also, can you say your name and just your neighborhood?
My name is Jennifer Wintner. I'm at Fairmont Coventry, Scarborough area. The question whether the library funds should be spent on the Coventry P.E.A.C.E building or library funds should go to library programming is inaccurate and does not require an either-or answer. The Coventry P.E.A.C.E tenants pay rent, which covers all the building operating expenses and then some. After the library has reconciled annual revenue from the tenants and actual annual operating expenses, it has had to refund money to the tenants. As far as coming up with funds to cover capital improvements to the building, the tenants have never anticipated requesting any contribution from the library. The tenants have a plan in place to raise all the required funds with governmental and foundation grants and loans. Those funds are available. However, Coventry P.E.A.C.E cannot apply for them unless the organization has either a long-term lease or title to the building. Under the terms of the initial lease between the library and Coventry P.E.A.C.E, which was just inaccurately described, the tenants were responsible for managing the building. They proved to be skilled at management, leasing, and identifying funding, all without the libraries having to invest time or money in the building. If the library had not unilaterally changed the terms of the initial lease, the tenants would be professionally managing the building and implementing a plan to ensure the long-term sustainability of Coventry P.E.A.C.E as a home for the arts now, at no cost to the library. The library is using an overly broad and outrageously high estimate for the building repairs. The tenants have had studies done of the building systems, and the estimates they have total less than half those of the library. What the library has not told the public is whether they have estimates for demolishing the Coventry P.E.A.C.E building, and if so, what they are. Think of the range of $1 million. $1 million of public money that should be used to support and expand library programming and services. The library administration and board can't possibly believe that their constituents will allow them to use $1 million of public funds to demolish and send to a landfill a valued community asset that is in overall good condition.
Thank you, Jen.
Krista Hawthorne, and I'm in the Coventry neighborhood. Coventry P.E.A.C.E. has a detailed plan that shifts the landlord responsibilities away from the library. It's the same plan we used to operate the building for almost 2 years. The Cleveland Heights slogan is home to the arts, and the Coventry P.E.A.C.E. building serves as an arts and education hub. Closing the building goes against the city's master plan, which strives for cultural enrichment and community well-being. Help us find a way to keep this building open and active. If we received grant dollars or financing for the cost of the HVAC and roofing, we could manage the rest of the expenses with rent revenues. 44% of the building is available for rent. When we fill even half of those unleased spaces, the additional rent revenues would be more than enough to make loan payments or to invest in building renovations. Who do you know that we should talk to about our plan? Have them reach out to coventrypeacecampus.org, or better yet, invite them to our Peace Pops this Friday from 6 to 9 at the Coventry P.E.A.C.E. building. Especially those of you who have never visited, who filled out the survey, because you will be impressed. We can give them a tour, answer any questions they have. Thanks.
Hi, good evening. My name is Marty Gelfand. For the last 4 years, I've lived in the Cedar Lee neighborhood, but for the 18 years before that, I lived not in Cleveland Heights, not in University Heights, but in the part of South Euclid that's in the Cleveland Heights, University Heights Library District. So the opening question about, 190 people were withdrawn from the survey because they answered the question honestly that they did not live in Cleveland Heights or University Heights. They might have lived in South Euclid and have been paying taxes to the library district like I did for 18 years. So I think it's a bad question. Do you live in Cleveland Heights, University Heights? Yes, but what if you lived in South Euclid in the Cleveland Heights Library District? Don't we count too? But I wanted to answer this question. I think that the library owns the P.E.A.C.E. building. For whatever reason, I lived in a library district then, but the library decided to buy the building for $1. And what's happened is some wonderful nonprofit organizations have sprung up or previously existed and have been using that building prior to and during the time that the library owned it and continues to own it. And this is something that not a lot of libraries probably do, but this library system does, and it's a wonderful thing. I think that by even asking this question, should we not continue to support and maintain this building, it just shows that the library is lacking in imagination and lacking in the creativity that this community, Cleveland Heights, University Heights, and that part of South Euclid have. So I think it's good that we're having this meeting. It's good that we're trying to answer some tough questions. But I really think the bottom line is that we own the building, we need to maintain the building, and we need to continue to let the arts and the nonprofit organizations thrive in Cleveland Heights, University Heights, and South Euclid Library District.
My name is Laurel Simkoff. I live right over by Mayfield and Taylor, and I previously lived in the district that Marty represented in that part of South Euclid where we were paying taxes prior to moving to Cleveland Heights about 4 years ago. I have utilized the library's resources for years, and I have never found them lacking. Even when they were putting money into this other building, I found that we've traveled a lot around the country and accessed a lot of libraries and found that we have one of the best offerings in this community. We have homeschool programs, we have art programs, we have writing programs, we have after-school programs, we have free meals for kids. Like, there are so many offerings here that many other library systems don't have, in addition to one of the best catalogs in the country. And I think that we've also utilized the P.E.A.C.E. campus and feel that those offerings only add to what this community gives us. We have attended programs through Lake Erie Inc. We attended Family Connections there for years. We have been to so many P.E.A.C.E. and artful classes, and we love all of the offerings there and think that it only adds to the library's offerings. It does not take anything away. None of the other library programs are hurting because of supporting this campus. That's all I want to say.
Hey, good evening. My name is Bldg Singh. I'm a 13-year resident on the block. I'm on Euclid Heights. The Peace Park is the reason that I live in Cleveland Heights for, intents and purposes. I grew up in Solon. I went to Solon High School, but we would come to Coventry. We would come to Coventry because Coventry is the lifeblood for me of Cuyahoga County, of where culture is created and expressed and shown. It's where the P.E.A.C.E steps are, because we named them that. And we can't walk back on supporting the arts. We can't walk back on supporting our young people. I have an organization I'm on the board of. I would like to make us tenants of the building. I would like holding meetings at the Coventry branch because it is accessible and it is a convenient spot, and the staff are incredible, as are all the staff here at our library systems. And so, yes, we should, they are well spent. And to the second part, we have a CDC, we have city council who are here, we have council president here, we've got folks who are responsible also for being part of pitching in and making sure that if we have federal dollars, that they can be used for an HVAC and a roof for a really important community asset. That is a public building, and we can make it more public if we invest in it and actually use it as an anchor. I know that that's what I want for my neighborhood, and I believe that based on a lot of the respondents, it's what a lot of us want for my neighborhood. And I thank you for that from the bottom of my heart, because it's why I still live in Ohio. I wouldn't be in Ohio if not for this community in this neighborhood, because it is not a great place to be, y'all.
Wanted to comment on question one before we transition. Remember, you can use your index cards. Don't forget you got the index cards. All right, question two. Do you think the Coventry P.E.A.C.E building being utilized as a nonprofit hub is the best use, or do you think the space/land could be used in another productive manner? If so, how? You also will see the survey response to this specific question. Over 50% of the survey respondents prefer Heights libraries find a viable alternative, nonprofit public, or educational use for the building, while 20% prefer demolishing the building and to expand the park. Name, neighborhood.
My name is Cynthia Larson. I live in the Coventry neighborhood. My kids went to Coventry school until it closed, and we held the wake with our friends from the PTA on the front porch. We have a lot of heartache about that, and yet the building gave us joy when it became an art space. I'm the co-founder and education director at Lake Erie, but I'm here to speak to you as a member of the community. And I think there's room in the Coventry P.E.A.C.E Park for an arts center. And I think we already have one. And I answered yes to this question, but I did not answer yes to alternate, nonprofit, public. So I think that we need to think about who's telling the story here. And I want to ask you to think about the danger of a single story. Because the story we were told and the questions as they've been interpreted is not really what I was answering when I said that I think we should have a nonprofit hub. I wasn't saying an alternate nonprofit hub. Coventry is a healthy neighborhood. We supported a wonderful school where we had peacemaker months, peacemakers for every month. And I want to be a peacemaker here and say, please, soften your hearts and listen to each other. I am not someone who was involved in any of the lease negotiations. I came to the table at the end of every single one of these struggles we've had as a tenant. My main role involved in this is that I was on the Coventry P.E.A.C.E committee when the school closed. So I helped sign over Coventry P.E.A.C.E as the playground organization to Coventry P.E.A.C.E as an organization supporting the arts. That was a legitimate process. We are a legitimate organization. We are not freeloaders. We are at the heart of our community, and it's important that we stay there. I love the mini forest, but my heart will be broken if there is more mini forest or meadow there, and we cannot continue to support the arts. There is no reason not to. Coventry P.E.A.C.E is healthy. Coventry P.E.A.C.E can find the funds to do this. And I understand the library doesn't want to be the landlord, and I want to take it off of them. So I understand that that's a problem too.
Thank you.
I guess I'll be in the University Heights area by Farming Room, but I worked at Cleveland Heights, University Heights main library, all in high school and college, and I thought this was going to be awesome that the library took over. I would say that I think that the building is being used awesome right now because it's accessible, and a lot of the places that are our buildings are not accessible. I am an artist and I cannot take my daughter to shows and events because they're not accessible. So I think that all the programs that are offered and all of the accessibility, ADA improvements that they've made to the bathrooms, the programs that are offered for free are great for this community that doesn't get to come out and be seen. So that's all I have to say.
Hi, my name is Noelle Celeste. I live in the neighborhood in the Coventry P.E.A.C.E Park, just behind it. Moved there 14 years ago. Both of my children have enjoyed programs that are there. And I'm answering this question because I can't actually imagine a better use for that space. I know that there are cities across this country who would love to build a space that has park, arts, restaurants, bookstores, thank God, and everything else that we have in Coventry. And to pull the arts out of that, or to think there are better tenants out there that are somehow going to replace them in this building, is not a fair question. We have something that grew from the passion and the imagination of our neighbors, and that is so rare. I stood with this group when we found the solution of the libraries, and I hope that with the libraries we can keep building a solution, because I have neighbors literally next door who moved from California, who could have moved anywhere in the country. They showed me their list: Austin, New York, Chicago, all these cities they looked at. They moved next door to me, and a huge part was Coventry, and Coventry P.E.A.C.E Park, and the theater that used to be there, and Cape Park that's around the corner. They weren't remote. They could be anywhere in the country, and they're in Cleveland Heights, but we aren't going to have a Cleveland Heights if we aren't unique, and we aren't creative, and we don't stick together to find solutions. So I really hope, coming to this meeting, that it is about solutions and not just about venting out, and there's some plan out there that we feel like we're not being told. Because I can't imagine tearing down that building when we have the tenants we have and the opportunity to fundraise, frankly, even for that big number. You throw a big number up there, we can raise those dollars. And this is something that
Good evening, my name's Paul Bldg. I moved here with my wife on Fairmont Boulevard in 2016, and in that same year I got involved. We moved here from the chaos of Little Italy to the civility of Cleveland Heights, and I found chaos and civility in this community. The chaos was a city manager who said, didn't care, was going to send out an RFP to tear everything down, including the park, and allow apartments to get built. That's the truth. We stopped that. But I found civility with Future Heights. I found that civility and creativity with the P.E.A.C.E tenants and the P.E.A.C.E people. And that's us, okay? Well, look, why are we talking about this 6 years later? 6 years later, we're having the same discussion on the same things. I feel manipulated. I feel deceived. We were promised partnership with the library. Ask yourself, why is the library investing $3.2 million into rebuilding a tot lot that already existed? And I like the old one better, honestly. I've seen the new one. I know it's got a big red bird, but happy days, folks, that was an expensive red bird. The bottom line is, if we're going to put public money into our community for civic purposes, okay, we could share the wealth and allow this building, this organization, these great entities that provide services to our community that no other community has, no other community can have. And I'm an architect. In a really great building, we need to stand behind it. Let's cut the crap. Let's do it, okay?
My name is Josie Moore, and I live in the Coventry Cedar area. And I'm here to advocate for the preservation of the Coventry P.E.A.C.E building and ask for the library's leadership to renew their commitment to activate this space as an arts, culture, and education center. And because the Coventry P.E.A.C.E campus is a key part of the Coventry CID's revitalization strategy, and our city's leaders have committed to investing in this district's economic recovery, I ask that our city's leaders be invited into this very important conversation. Yes, the building needs maintenance, but its bones are good. Demolishing this building would undermine the library's and our city's commitment to sustainability, pumping upward of 60,000 pounds of carbon into the atmosphere and hauling thousands of tons into our landfills. This building holds so much potential for community and economic revitalization. The high financial cost of destroying it would not be a good use of taxpayer dollars. There are multiple options to fund the needed maintenance without using public funds. But that's not the case for demolition, which would cost taxpayers likely upward of $1 million. This arts, culture, and education center enriches our community in so many ways, socially, culturally, economically. This project aligns with the library's mission and stated values, and it perfectly fits the bill for many goals set forth in our city's master plan. There is so much at stake here. We have visionary, innovative leaders, and I ask those leaders to be forward-thinking and to come together to cooperatively and transparently find solutions and chart a path to success for the Coventry P.E.A.C.E campus project. And please, invite our city's leaders into this conversation. They have a stake in this too, and they can contribute so much toward collaboratively creating something truly exceptional.
I'm not sure I can follow that so well. My name is Mimi Dada. I live off of Mayfield across from Severance. I emigrated here when I was 1.5 years, and I grew up in this Lee Road Library. I learned how to read here. I attended all summer long activity sessions. After school I would come here. I was very involved. And I think I've lived in Maine, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Switzerland, and France. And by far this is the best library system I have ever been involved in. At the same time, I don't think that the library should be a landlord to this. I believe that the tenants of the P.E.A.C.E building have a vision and have a solid interest in maintaining their space. And I think that there are good people on both sides. I know that sounds political. But there are, and I think somehow there's been a disconnect. I think we all want the best for our community, and we need to come together to the table and work this out. It's not an either-or situation. It's not we keep the building or we demolish it. There are tenants in there who are doing great things. I personally don't want the building torn down and have a place for kids to go at night and drink and smoke pot. I think the building offers so much to kids, to families. I went in there recently and I saw creations being made for the Circle Parade. I've been in there and I've seen the artful exhibitions. there's so much more that can be done. It can be an incubator for nonprofits. The library can help and have courses on how you can create a nonprofit and move in there. I think there's a way we can work together. I don't think it's a situation where we have to discuss what else can go in there. I think we need to work on how can we save it and make it a hub for everyone to come to all across Cleveland. And like people have said, people are coming here for Coventry. This adds to Coventry. I don't think we should take it away.
My name is Suzanne Gaetano from Max Bookstore in Coventry. And just to kind of echo what Marty said about the survey, I live in Cleveland, so when I went to fill out the survey, I was immediately ejected from it. Maybe next time it could say, do you live or have business in the neighborhood? So, so I'm here to say basically the same thing I've said every time there's been a public meeting about this topic, which is to say that I think the Coventry P.E.A.C.E. campus has really developed a community of artists and individuals and nonprofits that really care about each other, and because they care so much about each other and the community, it has created an unbelievable spirit that is palpable. At the same time, the library is a great institution that we all love and support. The bookstore collaborates with the library on several programs throughout the year. We just did a poetry reading in front of the library last Thursday. It was in their beautiful lawn space out there. And so my greatest wish is for the two entities to begin to work together. We collaborate a lot with the P.E.A.C.E. campus too. People from the P.E.A.C.E. campus come down for the street fairs. I'm thinking of Jackie from Artful, who helps us. And we've done, of course, many programs with Lake Erie Inc. And I would just say that, just to name one other thing, probably the highlight, one of the highlights of my holiday season is the program that Robin Van Leer has created for the Winter Festival when the street is closed and the puppets come down the street with the candles and the lanterns. You know, we make everybody come out of the bookstore and stand along Coventry to see that. And it's what the season is all about, and it's an example of what art can do and create in the neighborhood. So I'm for keeping the campus and improving it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brady Dindia. I am the co-founder of Artful, and I also serve as board secretary on Coventry P.E.A.C.E. I've been involved with this project since before the library even took ownership, and I bring extensive knowledge of its evolution over the last 7 years. As we consider the future of the Coventry P.E.A.C.E. building, it's important to note that the library's survey questions seem to be designed to lead respondents towards sort of predetermined answers. And they did seem to potentially support a decision that might already be in progress. We feel this approach undermines genuine community input, kind of threatens the cultural and educational resources we've developed at Coventry P.E.A.C.E. We believe the library should engage the city in a dialogue. The Keep the Peace team and the Coventry CID have already reached out to many city council members and the city administrator. Everyone so far has seemed open to exploring solutions. And our project aligns with the library's mission of lifelong learning and cultural enrichment. We offer complementary programs that enhance the library's services. Clearly, our current use of the building represents the best utilization of this space. Tearing down the building contradicts the city's goals for social cohesion, economic development, as outlined in the master plan. Our center also supports community engagement, local artists. We align with the city's vision for vibrant, inclusive spaces. Our plan, let me talk about our plan. Additionally, our plan includes room for both the library and the city to work on cooperative programming, which would maybe bolster this benchmark of public use. Demolition must be removed from the conversation. Beyond the environmental impact, it conflicts with the city's Fix It First policy, but more critically, it jeopardizes a cornerstone of our community and preliminary survey results show significant community support for keeping the building. And my time? I have literally 2 more paragraphs. Sorry. Thank you, I appreciate it. I worked really hard. Keeping the Peace Building open fulfills the library board's fiduciary duty by ensuring cost-effective resource use. The rental income from the nonprofits offsets maintenance costs, and the building provides potential solutions to the library's space issues while aligning with strategic goals without additional taxpayer burden. We urge the library to remove demolition from consideration and engage in meaningful dialogue with all the stakeholders. Let's work together to preserve this invaluable community asset for future generations. Together, and I say that again, together we can find a solution that supports our shared values and the future of our arts, culture, and education collective. Let's keep the peace.
My name is Brittany T. Jasper. I recently moved back to the city of Cleveland. I reside in University Heights, but I am a Coventry kid. I was born and raised in Cleveland Heights. My parents were a part of building the original Peace Park, and Coventry is the reason why I got a degree in the arts. I worked in creative arts from Cleveland to Chicago to Atlanta to New Orleans, and recently, as you can see, my family is growing, and we chose to move back because I had one of the best childhoods, and that's because of Coventry. The culture, just the diversity, and I knew I couldn't get that anywhere else. And myself and my spouse have chosen to move back because we love this community and because we want to raise our child in this community. And I think that Coventry, the building, is more than just a building. Its walls holds so much legacy, and if you were there 30 years ago, and if you walked the halls, and if you saw what we were doing as a community, as peacemakers, chalk walks, and all of that, I mean, you would honestly know that this place is a monument, and it needs to stay that. And I think that keeping it the arts and keeping it in the community and letting the tenants love on it and really show what they can do with it, I think for the future children to come, I think it's something.
Hey, what's up? So, I'm Tony Kuda, live in the Oxford Noble neighborhood. Long before I got this council gig, I played my first gig in Cleveland Heights at the church. It's on the corner of Quarry, you know, Denison, right there on the corner there. It's called Teen Town. Second gig I ever played was at Heights High when I was going there. And I stayed here because I love the arts and because I'm comfortable in the arts community. I remember when I was growing up, a lot of people from the Cleveland Orchestra lived in Cleveland Heights. And it was just, and I, as a young person, went to a lot of orchestra concerts. And so what do I want to say? I want to say, first of all, keep Coventry P.E.A.C.E. campus as home for the arts. We have to keep that. Do not tear the building down. If you've ever been, how many of you have been to the Peace Pops? Okay, so you guys know this is a family. This is not just a bunch of tenants. It's the most warm feeling you can get when you walk in that building and everybody's working on their craft, and I don't want to see anything happen to that. So let's make sure, whatever happens, we keep this Coventry P.E.A.C.E. campus a home for the arts.
You were in a college, but what time is it? Do we need to call it, or can we do this one?
We can do one more.
We can do one more. Sorry.
keep it brief. Hi, everybody. My name is Bldg McPherson. Literally born and raised in Cleveland Heights. I'm a product of Cleveland Heights Public Schools. Spent many days after school here. Classically trained violinist. Arts and culture have been key in my life. My violin teacher was in the Cleveland Orchestra. I worked at the Cleveland Orchestra, and I've worked at a handful of the cultural institutions in the university circle. And I'm a boomerang, so that means I left Cleveland because I thought I'd find something great and see these other cities. But then I came back because I was able to establish a career here and build community here with people that really mean a lot to me. I love some of the ideas that have been shared around the room about innovation and about culture and about entrepreneurship. And I just want to remind us that libraries are a space of arts and culture as well. And I'm not saying that to encourage demolishing the building, but to think about innovation. How are we bringing all of this together? This isn't a either-or situation. This is a how might we situation where we're all coming together, different perspectives, and thinking about how to be transformative in Cleveland Heights, where we are truly home to the arts. And there's so many great ideas throughout this room when you think about there being food, and there being art, and there being music, and there being all these great organizations that help to cultivate that. I just really want to encourage us to think differently, to be visionary in this work, and to think about how we can build ties in retaining all these great community assets. And if not in this building, then City of Cleveland Heights, can we think about investing in other spaces that can continue to make Cleveland Heights home to the arts? But we know how much this building has made an impact in a short period of time on a number of lives, and how do we continue that by investing the resources. So I forgot to mention, I am an arts administrator. I work at Assembly for the Arts, our region's arts council, and that's part of our mission, and is helping to include resources for the arts. So I just wanted to say that, and I hope we continue talking about how to advance things forward in an amicable way. Thank you. Dr. Chubb, do you just want to come share? We have time for one more.
Cut him out.
That's it. Last
Hi, I'm Mark Chubb, and I wasn't planning to say something, but there's something I haven't heard said tonight that I want to say, and that is, I live around the corner from the school. Our kids went to the school there. I think it's a great resource. I teach at CASE, and one of the things I work in is negotiated agreement. So a hypothetical is not really a clear alternative. And so you have existing assets in the building, you have community resources, you have a family of programs, and you have what? So maybe more green space, but we already have green space. So it seems to be we're comparing existing assets, homegrown, to what's in the hypothetical that could be there. And I'll put out in the scenario could be the number of vacant spaces we have in our community. Some of those are brand new spaces at Cedar Fairmont. Some of those are abandoned spaces at Severance. Some of those are abandoned buildings or spaces on Coventry. So you have an occupied space with lots of vacancy around. I don't see the alternative that makes for a compelling argument to do something different than what we already have.
So this is the question that we do. You're not gonna like, but we do have to do it because it was a part of the survey, and there may be folks in the room who have this perspective. Okay, so I'm just letting y'all know this is the question that y'all do not like. If the determination was made to demolish the building, would you prefer an expansion of mini urban forests or keeping the land a lawn or meadow? According to the surveys, over 52% of I'm reading it like I don't got the paper. Over 52% of the survey respondents prefer enlarging mini urban forest that was recently created behind the building, while 32% prefer enlarging the open space with lawn or meadow. This says, we respect that there are those in the room who prefer to that the building not be demolished, but ask that comments now be focused on those who support an expansion of Coventry P.E.A.C.E Park or other uses of the land. If you would like to come up and speak to this, the mic is open. But that's up to you now. You got the index cards for a reason. I think we can understand that most folks in the room probably are not a fan of that. However, I do have to open it up in case somebody would like to. Hearing none.
Back for time.
My name is Bryce Waldell. I live in the Grandview Fairmount neighborhood. What is it? It's Grandview Belmont. I actually grew up in Oregon, and so I have some experience with the restoration of forests. And we generally don't do a very good job because trees need to be planted a great deal of space away from what we would prefer when they're little tiny trees. And I have observed the mini forest that we have, and the trees are already planted too close together. So when we think about expanding an urban ecology, you're going to end up with a mini forest that does not promote a healthy ecosystem. So even if you want a mini forest, it does not support people who are not represented here. It does not support children and good educational programs, and it does not support the developmentally disabled and the handicapped who are currently supported by the building.
Question number 4. All right, tonight we talked about how you prefer Heights Library spends funds in regards to the Coventry P.E.A.C.E building, as well as best use for the building and the land. We want to conclude now by creating space for alternative suggestions. If you have remarks, please limit the remarks to productive uses of the land or the building that are other than what you've already shared. So if you have other ideas around how you would think the building should be used or the land should be used that have not already been addressed, this will be the time to share it. So I would have to open it up for that as well.
We have our words up here. All right, so. Just in case I wasn't clear, if question 2 is going to be interpreted as, yes, we want something besides peace, then I'm here to say we need to keep peace. But also that question 2 needs to be reinterpreted because many of us probably answered it that way. Yes. So I get rid of the gloss and I go with the answer, a viable nonprofit hub. We've got a viable nonprofit hub. That is a great use of the building.
Hello everyone, I'm Fern Hott. I live in the Coventry area, and I am an artist who has a studio space in Artful at the Coventry P.E.A.C.E building. I would agree with similar sentiments that the questions that were posed for the meeting tonight and for the survey seemed both vague and overly specific in different ways and meant to lead to a certain result that might already be determined, and we really hope not, because we want this to be important community building with everyone who's taken the time to come here tonight. I would say that for productive use of the land, I think we have already come to the conclusion of what is the productive use of the land, and that is the current arts and education nonprofit hub that exists. I am a local author and illustrator. My book that just came out in March, when I was working on all the tight deadlines for it, I was creating that book in 2 places. One of them was upstairs here in this building, in the study rooms, and the other was in my studio space at Artful. My book is for sale at a variety of My book is for sale at a variety of different places in Cleveland Heights and University Heights, and I am looking to build my career here long term, and the reason I am doing that is because of the existence of Artful. I don't think that even the idea of demolishing this building or turning it into something different should be considered. I think demolishing it is absolutely the last thing we should do. I think it would be an incredibly huge blow to our community to lose an already ADA accessible building. I need it. As my health declines over the years, I will continue to need it in different ways that it will support me. And that is very important to me and to my future as an artist, to my family and Artful, and through the other nonprofits here. They support a lot of parts of our community that cannot be supported in inaccessible other places in Cleveland Heights and University Heights. And it needs to stay here, and it needs to continue to support us.
My name's Lee Chilcote. I live in the Roxborough area. In the survey, the library asked 3 questions, each with multiple subparts for the public's response. All of these questions and the subparts offer false choices. The Coventry P.E.A.C.E building is an efficient building for the operation of the current arts tent and their aligned nonprofits, and should be transferred to the City of Cleveland Heights and leased back to Coventry P.E.A.C.E. Rather than debate these false choices, which one is preferred, just ask the city what it can do and how it can help and enhance our home of the arts. Invite the city into the discussion. After all, the city has included in its master plan and in its literature, home of the arts, and arts is a major feature. The tenants know this building backwards and forwards. They have contributed significantly to its operations, and they contribute services throughout this community to the city as a whole. In addition, and most important, the collective impact of these organizations for our economic development in Cleveland Heights is almost incalculable. We have met, those of us that are interested in Coventry P.E.A.C.E and the building, have met with 5 out of 7 councilmen, and we have reached out to 2 others. We have met with the city administrator and talked with him. We know there is extremely strong support within the city of Cleveland Heights. We believe and understand that the library is done with this. They said the air is out of the balloon. It is time to transfer this building to the city of Cleveland Heights, lease it back to Coventry House, and collaboratively build an arts center for the benefit of this community. You'll be amazed how helpful the city will be and how quickly a solution will be found. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wants to come up who has any last thoughts, comments that they would like to share before we kind of go to the next steps and questions?
Hi, I'm Judith Ryder. I live on Lincoln, which is the neighborhood of Coventry. I didn't plan on speaking tonight. I am a 40-year-plus resident of Cleveland Heights. I came here because of the arts. My children's going to Coventry School and everything in that neighborhood. However, my work is way beyond Cleveland Heights. I have for years worked with Cleveland Opera, anchored in Cleveland. I now run Cleveland Arts Education Consortium. We are a membership service organization for arts providers, arts education providers, Northeast Ohio. We have held numerous sessions at the Coventry P.E.A.C.E building. starting with our first discussions about inclusion and social justice, and most recently last summer with guests from New York, from the National Guild for Community Arts Education. They have been amazed at the space, the vibrancy of the neighborhood, and of Cleveland as well. However, they loved being in that space. And I heartily support everything that has been said tonight about retaining the Peace Building. I totally agree. It is a vibrant space. It is essential for the development of Coventry Road, and it is essential for the success of Cleveland Heights as a hub for arts and arts education. So everything that has been said tonight has been really beneficial and reassuring. I came tonight really quite discouraged because the survey was not what I anticipated, and it was very hard to really hit the button that said other and write something in that was relevant. So onward, and let's keep going, keeping the Peace Campus going, the Peace Building going. We need it.
Hi, my name is Bldg. I live here in the Cedar Lee area, about a 5-minute walk from the library. And this is a very quick question I have. So question 4 asks us to consider what alternative we would like to see in there. And just by a show of hands, can I see who would like to have an alternative? Okay, and who would like to have Coventry P.E.A.C.E. continue the way it is? Thank you.
I too have a question. The library called this meeting, but no one from the library or the library board was introduced. Could everyone stand up, please? And we want to make sure the entire board is here. Okay, so there are 4 people. There are more people on the board. How do you have a listening tour without listeners?
Thank you. Okay, thank you everybody for sharing. This is being recorded, so this will be shared with the board for anybody who is not here. Also, remember, please turn in your cards, your index cards with your comments and your questions, because that will also be provided to the board as well. As far as next steps, it seems to me that everybody seems to be on the same page, right? And so what is the plan around keeping the building? So Sarah and I have proposed that we'll do a workshop. It's scheduled for August 8th. That is where anybody that's interested in being a part of providing potential plans to the board, we will come together. You'll think about some different pathways to reach whatever solution it is that you would like to reach. It sounds like most folks would like to keep the building, so that will be the topic. What are the different routes that you could potentially do or provide to the board for them to keep the building? So that will be a working workshop. Come with plans, come with ideas. That will be a time for you to talk to one another, put something on paper, and provide it to the board. And in that, they'll be able to see that you're not only saying you want to keep it, but you're also providing your insight and what you think they could potentially do. And so that's the next step. You got anything to say? So thank you all for coming. Would you like to?
Can I just reiterate that if there is anybody here who hasn't been to Coventry, which it sounds like most of you have, we do have our Peace Pops this Friday, as my colleague mentioned, and we're going to have a Q&A table there for anyone who has questions specifically for Coventry P.E.A.C.E. and about our plan, and we will give tours, and we'll have unbelievable other events going on, workshops, art making, open studios. But I want to add, I encourage all of you who've been so wonderful and lifted our spirits so much tonight, if you could reach out to somebody you know that hasn't been to Coventry P.E.A.C.E., reach out to 1 or 2 people and bring them with you on Friday. We need to help people who are beyond here, who care about arts and culture, learn about what's going on inside of our building. We want to break out of the silo and bring more and more people into this conversation because together, all of us, including most people, can definitely solve this problem.
What time?
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Friday.
It's an opportunity.
It is an opportunity.
Thank you all.
6 to 9.
Thank you all so much for being a part of this. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and your comments. Thank you very much.
Anyone interested in signing up for a work group? Anyone interested in signing up for a work group? We have sign-up forms at a table in the lobby.
Do we only get to sign up tonight, or will there be a public way to sign up?